Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Vishtaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta Swam Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachaline Nivasisha Sunyavari Pashtatara Satarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I just remembered today is Ekadashi, and it's not an ordinary Ekadashi. Well, no Ekadashi is ordinary. Today is Bhima Niyajala Ekadashi. So perhaps some devotees are busy chanting the holy name. So that's wonderful. Hare Krishna. Okay.
Holy Prabhu, should we break the fast tomorrow at 8 and 18 or something like that?
Have a look on your gadgets. So sure you've got the
That's what it says. 8.
yeah, then that is what it is. Don't have it. Yeah. On that app, what's it called? That app we all have?
It's a G. I don't know what it's called this. Gaudiya calendar.
Yeah, so especially if you have fasted, if you're practicing nirjal, it's quite important that you break fast in the correct way. It said any fool can fast, but it takes a wise man to break a fast. So there'll be a specific juncture to break the fast. And you should break it first with a Mahaprasad, 1 or 2 great Mahaprasad, if at all possible. And then ideally, without getting too much distracted here, then ideally what's good to do, we used to do that many years ago, is you drink a mixture of sweetened milk with water that's been watered down, and you drink as much as you can. It helps to bring out the toxins which have come out from the fasting, apparently.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. All right, so beginning page 839. Hare Krishna, here comes Mother Chandravali. Okay, so context. Let's pick up the context. Okay. I'll just go step back a couple of paragraphs to get the context. Okay. Okay. Now, as a devotee passes through the stages of sadhana bhakti, he will gradually acquire a semblance of these qualities. Now, what are these qualities? Let me go back one more step. All right, let me go back. Okay. Oh yeah, these qualities, this was the 9, remember it was the 9 qualities of bhava, which is mentioned in the nectar of devotion. So these qualities cannot be imitated. Yeah. They cannot be imitated, and also they cannot be hidden as well. So then the 9 qualities are, I'll read just the titles. There's a little bit that we described about each of them, but I'll just name them. One is tolerance. Okay. Pridelessness. Well, let me just read it. Yeah. When the seed of ecstatic emotion for Krishna fructifies, so ecstatic emotion is another name for bhava bhakti. Whenever you see the word bhava bhakti, it means ecstatic emotion. For Krishna fructifies, that's a stage just below prema. Okay. The following 9 symptoms manifest in one's behavior: tolerance, not wasting time, detachment, pridelessness, confidence in the Lord's mercy, longing for the Lord, a taste for chanting the holy name of the Lord, attachment to descriptions of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and affection for those places where the Lord resides. That is a temple or holy place like Vrindavan. And we brought to your attention that if you observe as senior devotees, as spiritual masters, you will see these symptoms manifest in them. Okay, these are advanced devotees. Right, so these were the, okay, so that's the context where we left off. And if you have any questions or comments, as usual, please feel free to unmute or put it in the chat, and hopefully I'll see that. And please ask or contribute however you're inspired, okay? Hare Krishna Vachandavali.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. We're on page 838.
Yeah.
You got it, yeah. As the devotee passes through the stage of sadhana bhakti, he will gradually acquire a semblance of these qualities. So it's a shadow of, it says a semblance of them, of these qualities. Sometimes a few of those traits are visible, and other times they are not. That's when one's not at the stage of ecstatic devotion, but the stage before that, one will manifest a semblance of these qualities. At all times, manifest characteristics are the shadow of the real thing. The genuine anubhava, so exhibition of bhava, of a bhava bhakta, are always present, and they differ from those of the sadhana bhakta in that the former are expressions of transcendence. Okay, the latter, while admirable, are at best expressions of goodness. Right. So these, some of these, at least, which we mentioned, tolerance, detachment, pridelessness, they also can be manifest as someone is situated in the mode of goodness. Yeah. But when a transcendentalist is manifesting these qualities, this is not from the mode of goodness, it's from their purified heart. Okay. The characteristics of a devotee who has attained bhava bhakti cannot be fully enumerated even by an august poet. Great demigods are in awe of a devotee who has reached this success in bhakti, knowing that his path to the pinnacle of spiritual achievement is almost a given. It is just a matter of a little mercy from the Lord. Introducing Bhava Bhakti, Rupa Goswami raises a few topics that are helpful in understanding the destination for which a sadhaka aspires. There is such a thing as a semblance, a bhas of bhava, also known as rati, which is called Racha Bhasa, which may be seen in two kinds of devotees. So this is from Nectar of Devotion, Maharaj is quoting from. Are we following so far?
Mm-hmm.
Some bhas, again, it's a shadow of bhava, but it's a good shadow to have, okay? Also known as rati. So this manifests in two kinds of devotees. So one of those is a devotee aspiring for liberation and for sense gratification. So an bhas, the semblance of this may manifest in someone who's still, could say, somewhat neophyte. They're still aspiring for moksha and even sense gratification. Yeah. The other, oh, that's one, and the other is ignorant of bhakti, curious and socially conscious. That basically means someone may just happen into a temple out of curiosity, and just the atmosphere and the sangha of devotees, or they may come in the kirtan, and they may feel an abhas of the symptoms of bhava. They may feel ecstatic, yeah, just by the being in that environment, in association of devotees. So they may be completely ignorant to what is bhakti, yeah. Okay. Given the right circumstances and association, they both can experience a semblance, also known as reflection of bhava, known as, okay, another word here, pratibimba ratibash, okay, or chaya ratibash, respectively. So big long words for semblance or reflection. Get the idea? So
Yeah, can I say something? Hare
please,
Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare
yes.
Krishna. Now that you said that, I remember when I first came to a temple in Kiev, and I was going up the stairs, and I started laughing. And I felt very silly, but I was just laughing, and I thought, well, okay, the joy is already coming. Yeah, I haven't even entered. I was just, doing the stairs up. That's what I wanted to share. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you. I also remember as well when I first came to the temple, and I was going back home from the temple, and I felt completely peaceful and detached, completely free of all anxiety, and I didn't know why. Yeah. And a bus, yeah. So since Krishna reluctantly gives bhava to even pure devotees, okay, it will be clear to the reader that he will definitely not give it to the impure practitioner. That's the ones we just mentioned. Okay. To those who are self-interested, to the impure practitioner, to those who are self-interested. Nonetheless, under certain circumstances, even those impure devotees may experience spiritual emotions, seeing which some neophytes become impressed. Maharaj quotes here, how do impure people experience even a reflection of bhava? So Rupa Goswami answers this question. Again, this is from Nectar of Devotion. The beams of pure devotion from real devotees shine upon them either in kirtan, a festival, or parakram of holy places, and make an impression that produces the semblance of the real thing. Okay, semblance means you have it one day and it's gone the next. It doesn't stay, but when one is on the platform, of Bhava, then the symptoms are always present. Okay. Of the two kinds of Ratchabas, Pratibimba is more intense and may be likened to reflection. We also studied this in Sundar Bhakti Chintamani readings as well, if you may remember. So Pratibimba is more intense and may be likened to a reflection. However, because its motivation is very bad, so this is the person desiring sense gratification and liberation. So their motivation is corrupt. It is not pure. It cannot lead to pure devotion. Okay. Although it can result in elevated stages of sense gratification and even liberation. So the holy name is like a Chintamani stone. So it can award sense gratification, even liberation, but not pure love with that corrupt motivation. Okay. Now the other chaya, this is someone who happens to walk into a temple, all right, or walk into a or bump into a Rath Yatra festival. The other chaya is weaker, resembling a shadow, but its advantage is that the motivation is innocent. You see, so they're not coming into the assembly of Vaishnavas looking for sense gratification. They just happened upon. So it's somewhat innocent. Of the two, it is better because by further associating with an advanced devotee, the practitioner with Chai Ratyabhas, the one we just mentioned, can be elevated to pure devotion and in time to pure Rati or Bhava. The topic of Pratibimba is of no further interest. Okay, so that's a topic of experiencing ecstatic symptoms through association, even though one desires liberation and sense gratification. Right? We're not interested in that. However, we should consider certain features of Chaya Ratyabhas that are relevant to a true sadhaka. It happens that on occasion, a practicing devotee has an overwhelming spiritual experience. Hopefully we've all had that to one degree or another. He or she feels an upsurge in emotions like humility and happiness. I will just mention that. Yeah. Accompanied by externally uncontrollable symptoms, sometimes maybe crying and trembling. After the symptoms subside, the sadhaka is generally confused and worries that he has become a sahaja, or an imposter. Often our spiritual masters have to answer those questions, and disciples come to them. Am I a sahaja, Maharaj? I was crying in kirtan. Perhaps I'm a sahaja. The concept of Chayarachibhash helps explain this phenomenon and lays the devotee's mind to rest. He is not a sahaja. One is not an imposter. It's the real thing, but it's a shadow of what will come later in one's spiritual life. We're being encouraged, yeah. So it's real, but it's a shadow of bhava. As already explained, the moon rays of bhava from a great devotee. Oh yeah, so as it has already explained, this bhava can come from a great devotee, can come from the holy name, it can come from Krishna himself. So it may touch the heart of an inexperienced and immature devotee. Because he is not qualified for it, the devotee cannot be elevated to the stage of bhava. So there's still some impurities in the heart, still some attachments, still maybe some effect of offences to the holy name. Yeah. And yet the mercy is not ineffective. It will touch the devotee and induce a semblance of bhava in him that lasts for a while before it wanes. Okay. We're all with us so far? Any questions or comments? Mother Mongol's nodding his head. Yes, Hare Krishna. And although the influence of Ratyabhas wanes, the memory does not. So you take a picture of it in your heart. Sure, now you can, as Mother just expressed as well, you can remember some ecstatic japa periods you've had, some ecstatic times, you know. So the experience, the actual factual experience you're having may wane, but the memory of it doesn't. Yeah. And neither does the purification that you get from it. Yeah. A sincere devotee remembers such experiences and so becomes determined for advanced devotion. Additionally, the intense experience burns up material attachments and makes advancement that much easier. So this is just a shadow, okay? And that much more rewarding. But it should be emphasized that only quality association will further the cause of pure devotion and bring about the blessings of transcendence. So quality association generally means advanced, associating with those who are more mature and advanced on the path of devotion. Okay. And bring about the blessings of transcendence. It is not possible without serving, hearing from, and being blessed by an advanced devotee. Please, Maharaj, give us your blessings. In summary, a devotee should not misunderstand when forceful feelings of ecstasy overtake him while still in an immature stage of devotion. Yeah, one of the dangers is that devotee may become very proud. Think, oh no, I'm very advanced, you know. But don't worry, Krishna will arrange some humble pie. Krishna doesn't like his devotees become proud. He should recognize such events to be made possible by the mercy of his guru and other advanced devotees. Such epiphanies or spiritual incidents should be cherished and used by the devotee as inspiration for quality sadhana and recommitment to attaining bhava. Some of you may do that. I know some devotees keep a journal. So you can write these special experiences down, and you can, if you want some inspiration, you can reflect upon them and read. Many disciples of Srila Prabhupada has similar experiences in his presence, and those experiences remain with them as one of the landmarks of their spiritual journey. Other devotees have similar spiritual encounters that are occasioned in different ways. But just as a devotee's sadhana or ratyabhash, shadow, ecstatic symptoms, can be elevated to their culmination by sadhu sangha, similarly, sadhana, ratyabhash, and even bhava can be hampered and even destroyed by offences to a sadhu. This unfortunate topic requires careful attention. Rupa Goswami explains why. Good. There's a Sanskrit verse here, but I'll just read the translation. By the boundless mercy of a dear devotee of the Lord, the semblance of bhava suddenly transforms into real bhava. So that semblance transforms into real bhava. But by offending that devotee, even the best bhava bus gradually wanes, as does the full moon in the sky. Moreover, it should be added that by a grave offense to a dear devotee of the Lord, so a more serious offense, even real bhava will be destroyed. Okay? By an intermediate offense, the bhava will degrade to, the real bhava will just become a shadow of bhava. So by a slight offense, bhava will deteriorate to an inferior quality. Okay. Any comments or questions on this so far?
So the higher you go, the deeper you fall. In a way.
What's the word? Yes. So yes, there's another way of describing it. Yes. So there's more, for instance, if a brahmana does a sinful act, there's more of a sinful reaction than say a Sudra, because a brahman is expected certain principles to live by. So it's as is described here by Rupa Goswami. But generally, you're going to find those at the stage of bhava, it will be very rare that they make a grievous offense because their heart is just ecstatic with devotion. One of the symptoms of this ecstatic devotion is humility. So it's very rare that someone at the stage of bhava will commit what's called a grave offense. Now we have the example, I'm sure some of you are thinking of that, of Maharaj Bharat in the Srimad Bhagavatam at the stage of bhava. And he neglected his sajja, he neglected his sadhana. So he came down. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Yeah, I don't know if it's a best example to use. It's not quite the same. But there's an example of either Rupa or is it Sanatana Goswami, that story, where he's in samadhi meditating upon the pastimes of Radha and Krishna. And Radha and Krishna enjoying very sweet pastimes, comical pastimes together. And he's in samadhi, eyes closed, chanting and envisioning this. And so he's smiling broadly. And at that time, a Vaishnava who was handicapped and couldn't walk properly, he walked very awkwardly, came by, and he saw the Goswami. Was it, anyone can tell me it's Rupa or Sanatana? I think it was Rupa.
I know the pastime, but I don't know. It's
And then Sanatana Goswami advised him.
Let's see.
So then he lost his vision of that Leela because this Vaishnava became offended. Now, because it was very slight offense, it wasn't as if, say, Rupa Goswami fell from his platform. He just lost the vision for some time and couldn't enter back into it. Then he approached Sanatana Goswami. So anyway, like that. Mother Chandravali, are you with us? You're
Yeah.
coming up? Yeah. Do you want to pick up reading from here, from 842? Is it
Okay.
possible?
Yeah, 842.
In his teachings.
Right. Sorry, I was muting because I thought my computer was making that funny noise. Is it okay?
Yeah, it's fine. It's okay now.
Fine. Because last week it was okay.
Echoing.
In his teaching, yeah.
Yeah.
In his teaching to Rupa Goswami, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warned of the dangers of offences to Vaishnavas, likening them to a mad elephant that tramples underfoot the flowering garden of the creepers of devotion. In the above verses, Rupa Goswami highlights offences to a great devotee and is very specific about what it means to trampling the creeper of devotion. Whether a devotee has attained bhav or merely its semblance, the taste of devotion is the inspiration for its execution in the way that the taste of food is the reason for eating. If that taste is lost, the inspiration for bhakti, as it does for eating, wanes and dies.
Wow.
Commentators Jiva and Vishwanath detail the intent of the author of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which we shall summarize. Offenses are of two kinds, those to Krishna and those to his dear devotees. Also, Jiva Goswami says to weigh them equally. It is commonly accepted that the later is more
The
grievous.
latter, yeah, it's more grievous.
The one to the devotees is more grievous than
Grievous.
the former. That said, it seems that both still have the same effect on the bhakti of the offender. If the sinner is a bhav bhakta, then his punishment varies with the severity of his offense, which is graded as extreme, intermediate, and slight. No mention is made of how that assessment is made. However, we have the example of Brigumuni, whose offense corresponded to the above grading when they were physical, verbal, and mental. Even today, the Lord has the footmark of Brigu on his chest, a reminder of where the Brahmana kicked him, a very severe offense.
Anyone knows that pastime? Can you
Yeah.
tell briefly? Go on.
Yeah, well, they wanted to know who is the highest.
Yeah, who's the predominating deity? Yeah.
Yes. So then Brigu Muni went to Lord Shiva, and
What did you do to Lord Shiva? Because he's Lord Shiva's brother, isn't he? He's born
yeah,
from-
instead of paying obeisances, he just started telling me, "Oh, you live in the crematorium."
I think
like
Lord Shiva came to embrace him. He said, no, you don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're all covered in ashes, man. You're but he's his brother. So that was yeah,
So
go.
that was that. And Brahma, he didn't pay his obeisances, right?
Yeah, Lord Brahma, he didn't pay him respects, is that right?
Yeah. And when he went,
So physical. So that when they were physical, verbal, and mental. Anyway, carry on, go on. Again, go.
yeah, physical, verbal, mental. Physical was Lord Vishnu. He kicked him on the chest.
Yeah, physical, yeah, he kicked him in the chest.
Verbal was Lord Shiva, because he told him, no, don't hug me, you look so dirty, you live in crematorium, things like
Yeah.
that. And Brahma probably he didn't pay his obeisances.
Yeah, that was it. Okay, yeah. And then what did the Lord say when the Bhrigu Muni kicked him?
He says, oh, my chest is hard. Did it hurt your feet?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He
Okay,
was
yeah. So,
upset.
all right, can carry on reading, yeah.
Now I lost.
The reaction.
The reaction to an extreme offense committed by the bhava bhakta is that he is deprived of his bhav. He
Yeah.
becomes a bhav. That means he again becomes a sadhana bhakta and one without even a semblance of bhav. Ouch.
Yeah.
Then
Like-
how do I know that I've committed such a big offense? That's like,
Well, how do you know? Well, this will be the effect.
yeah.
Yeah. Now, generally it will be sometimes in our spiritual life, then Krishna likes to create a sincere desire to obtain him. So sometimes the nectar of the holy name may not be we may not be able to access, but so that may be Krishna's helping us in our spiritual life. But the difference between an offense where the devotion wanes is that as the devotion wanes, one starts contemplating material sense gratification. And what before they saw as being spiritual starts to look mundane. Yeah, they start to they start to they see the devotees as being ordinary, they see the activities in the temple as being ordinary, and they become attracted again to their previous materialistic life. But that means there's offenses being made. But sometimes it may be, again, Krishna's increasing our eagerness for him by sometimes stepping back. But such a devotee will continue to chant the holy name, etc. So
They still have taste for chanting, or the chanting sort of goes
the
to
devotees who
commit
offense. No, then the taste will gradually, because the mercy of the holy name will withdraw. The holy name will withdraw his mercy because one has offended a Vaishnava. Remember, it's considered to be an offense to blaspheme the devotees of dedicating their lives to the propagation of the holy name of the Lord, etc., the 10 offenses. So then the mercy of the holy name will recede. Now, also it should be said as well that if someone may make an offense to a Vaishnava, but again, if it's not with intent, it's not with deliberate intent, it may be just circumstances. It may just be circumstantial, where they've been overcome by the modes and one situation, a passionate conversation or passionate exchange may lead to one devotee being disrespectful to another one and one devotee taking offense. But generally, they are sincere in spiritual life. So it may be that one has to go without a taste for some time till one is reinstated again. But they're sincere and they know, and they will, they will apologize to the Vaishnava, and they should do that. But still, the holy name may see it fit to wait for some time to give his mercy again. So a devotee continues with the process. Yeah. And then gradually, they will win the favor and being reinstated again in their taste that they had before. But they still continue the principles of bhakti. That means that devotee is sincere. Remember, one devotee, one god brother of mine, I won't mention his name, but he said that he had that experience where he offended a Vaishnava in the heat of a managerial disagreement. An offense was made. And he said, I had to go without a taste for the holy name for about 2 years.
Before he realized, though.
Yeah, but he's very sincere, and he just continued. He very simply just continued. Now, if you meet him, you'll never tell he's an ecstatic devotee. So sometimes one may go through that in one's spiritual life.
I have a question.
Yes,
Because what about devotees who are married to a devotee? Yeah, and in married life, you do have fights. And I talked to devotees, and one Mataji told me, well, I broke his rib. I mean, like, it wasn't just a oral, discussion. So is that also, I know it might be a rhetorical question, but is it also an offense? When you
I mean,
disagree?
I don't know what other devotees might say, but I would say yes. It's a devotee. The wife's a devotee. The husband's a devotee. So if the husband's putting the wife into distress and causing misery, that person is a devotee.
And vice versa, yeah.
Vice versa. Same as in an ashram, devotees live together in a very intimate way in the brahmachari ashram, not, very close. Same as it's an ashram, and you're sharing the ashram with another Vaishnava, either husband or wife, Okay, someone may say due to relationship, it may not be to the same degree. No, that person's a Vaishnava. Yeah, so
even being husband or wife and being a family disagreement, it would still be considered as a Vaishnava, yeah? Vaishnava Avarat.
Yeah, I've heard nothing to say anything which is opposite to that. I haven't heard any classes were saying, oh, it's okay if you're married, then it doesn't matter. You can offend your husband, you can offend your wife, it doesn't matter so much. No,
I will ask that couple, and next meeting maybe I'll tell whether they felt that they lost, because they're very, very elevated devotees. I will ask if they share it with me, then and if they let me share that with you, then next Monday I'll let know.
Yeah, I'm sure married couples, I'm sure they will experience that when they're relating to each other in a proper Vaishnava way, then their chanting is better, they're more happy, but when the relationships break down and there's embittered arguments and there's, unpleasant exchanges, then they probably find it very hard to chant, and they may not feel very devotional.
I mean, you do have married life, you do have arguments.
Yeah.
And you do say words, but internally you know that you would not hurt. Like say with my husband, it's really stubborn mule, whatever. And then I really, really angry and whatever. But within, I know I would pray to Krishna and say, oh, I shouldn't have said this, I shouldn't have done this. But he drives you to a point when you have to do these things,
So I think you're right. I think intent is an important word to understand. Yes. What's the intent? If the relationship breaks down to such an extent that one is actually envious of one's partner and one wishes ill, then that's going to be a serious offense.
Yeah, no.
But you're right. It was it Prabhupada said, if a wife says to her husband, I'm going to kill you, then you don't take it very seriously. Vice versa. That's the nature sometimes of marriage.
I could say anything to him, but if anybody else even said a word, I would really go for that person.
Yeah, so obviously it wasn't intent, but we should be careful still. We should be careful.
Yes.
Prabhu, can I say something?
Yes, please.
Pastor say that husband is Vishnu incarnation and wife is Lakshmi Devi incarnation.
Yeah.
So that's why we have to treat partners each other in marriage like God, like Krishna Radharani. Fight, disagreements are very healthy, but unless you respect each other. You can fight, you can do whatever you want with each other, but with limits, respect. if you start humiliating, intimidating each other, this is out of question. That's why next life, people, why we cannot get husbands or wives or single, we're being single, we can't get, because previous lives, we disrespected our spouses. That's why this life, we are single. Women cannot get married or get abusive husbands. Why? Because it was breach of respect and relationship. So that's why.
It's a very complicated world. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So generally, we want to operate on the principle of Trinadipi, Sanichana, Torodapi, Shishna, Manina, Manina, Kitana, Sadahari. We should be conscious of that how I interact is going to affect the way I chant the holy name.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
Really want to
Absolutely.
be careful. The holy name is everything for us. So we don't want to undermine our chances of getting the grace and the mercy of the holy name. But still, we're not all perfect, for sure. We're affected by the modes of material nature. So sometimes we may make offenses. But at least if we can recognize them, apologize, and try to make an amends, and then we can go forward. It starts getting messy if one doesn't acknowledge that one is being offensive and one justifies it. That's where it starts getting quite complicated. And that's where you probably see devotees gradually move out of the circle of Vaishnavas and gradually disappear into the ether, so to speak.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. What happens to those devotees who, like you said, disappears? Like they don't get association of devotees. They still
But
follow.
then, yeah, but then Krishna, they're still under Krishna's jurisdiction, because at some point they have given their heart to Krishna. They have given to Krishna. At some point, hopefully that has been there. But they will get handed, but Krishna will hand them over to the external energy for a special school of purification. Yeah. So that purification won't come from the Vaishnavas because it's not good for them to stay because they make more offenses. So they will get corrected through life's experiences meted out by the external energy, which is ultimately in Krishna's control. Yeah. So Krishna won't. Yeah. Now, if they made really grievous, intent offenses, very grievous offenses, then they may have to even enter into lower species of life. Yeah. I heard one senior.
They chanting, still practicing devotional service.
Sorry?
Even if they're chanting, they might have committed offenses before, but if they're chanting,
Yeah, apiset sudaracharo. But if they're situated in their determination to achieve Krishna's lotus feet, even they've made a big boo-boo, then they are protected by Krishna. But sometimes it may happen that one turns from a devotee to a demon. Sometimes it may happen. It's very kind of rare, but there are cases where someone becomes a thorn in the side of the Vaishnava community. Yeah, there was one such. Who was that in Chaitanya Charitamrita? Devotee who became, every time he came, everyone was very sad. Now you're supposed to feel happy when you see Vaishnava. What's his name? He was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri. Ishvara Puri is one. What's his another Puri? Ramachandra Puri.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one who upset his Guru Maharaj.
Yeah, then he started criticizing the Vaishnavas for how much they ate. We know the story. He would feed them up to the neck and then criticize them. And every time he came, the devotees felt it was like a big black cloud. But eventually he became so offensive that he became a Mayavadi of some type. Yeah. don't know, it's scary. It's a story, isn't it? Yeah,
Prabhu, you were about to tell us a story of some senior devotee.
not just some senior devotee gave class and he was explaining how sometimes devotees may even lose the human form of life because they're very gross, intent offences. I can't remember the Sastra Praman that he gave to back it up, but he was saying that. I know it can happen. Judd Barrett, that's a different situation, though.
Yeah. That,
Remember his last life. Yeah. All right. Let's read.
the
Time to.
reaction for
Yeah.
an is that the place? Okay. The reaction for an intermediate offense is that the offender is again deprived of his transcendental attainment. He becomes a sadhana bhakta, but he retains a semblance of bhav abhas. Finally, the reaction for a slight offense is that the permanent mood, staiba, of the offender is lowered. Acharya Vishwanath says that if the devotee is in the conjugal mellow, his mood is changed to servitude. And if it is servitude, then it changes to neutrality.
So he
So
becomes
that
attracted to
means
Krishna.
yeah.
Yeah.
We know that the conjugal mood is the richest in mellows and has the taste of all other rasas. In this case, the slight offender is deprived of his natural inclination and receives an identity that has less qualities.
Well, that's why we have to tread so carefully in our spiritual life, you know.
Yeah. But he still has devotional mood though, yeah?
Yeah, so it hasn't, so everything is not lost,
Yeah.
but still, yeah.
Instead of going up, he's gone down a bit. An example of an offender is the Dravida gorilla, who was part of Lord Ram's entourage and rendered extraordinary service in the war against Ravan. Some say that he is even an eternal associate of the Lord. Yet Dravida had some disagreement with Lakshman. He could not surrender to the Lord's brother and became offensive to him. As a result, he lost his bhav, and by association with the demon Naraka, he too became a fully fledged demon.
Full-fledged demon. So as I said,
You were
from
just
devotee
saying,
to demon.
yeah, from a devotee who was later killed by Lord Balaram. Yes.
You
And
can
this-
read about his antics in the Krishna book.
Yeah.
It's quite some antics, which you won't detail now, but you can look down in Krishna book.
In this instance, an associate of the Lord is converted to a demon by Vaishnava.
Vaishnava Bharat, yeah.
The reactions for offenses committed by a sadhana bhakta with bhav abhas
Shadow of the
are not detailed in the same way. Yet Rupa Goswami says the best bhav abhas gradually wanes. This indicates that there are grades of bhav abhas, and according to the weight of offense, as in the case of bhav bhakta, the offender either loses his bhav abhas altogether or is demoted to semblance of bhav, of decreasing intensity.
Yeah, one thing that can happen is that when one loses their taste, they become envious of those who do have taste. Yeah, they've lost their taste, so they see other devotees who are enthusiastic, etc. They become envious of them. Yeah, so
Would they know that this is what's happening to them, or would they think this is how they're going in their devotional life?
if they have a sincere friendship with the Vaishnava, and they know how to reveal their mind, then there's hope that they can see and they can reflect and make a change. Of course, Krishna will be trying to correct them within the heart as well. But if one is isolated, so to speak, then one may not even recognize or want to recognize. Well, one would come up with all types of justifications. All types of justifications. I've seen it personally in the temple over the years where where the person goes from sweet to sour, and everyone's to blame in the temple except their own selves, unfortunately, they're unable to reflect on their own wrongdoings. And they think, if I stay here, I'm not going to make any advancement. All these devotees are envious of me. Everyone's envious of me. How can I make any advancement here? Best I leave. These are rare examples, I must say, but sometimes it may happen.
Okay. A similar loss of power or a loss of semblance of power takes place when a sadhaka keeps intimate association with a Mayavadi or someone strongly drawn to impersonal liberation. As Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Mayavadi
Krishna aparadi.
Mayavadis are offensive to Krishna. By keeping company with Mayavadis, a devotee also becomes offensive and is thereby deprived of his power. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu warns his followers to be alert and avoid all offenses and bad association. He says to Sri Rupa, the gardener must defend the creeper by fencing it all around so that the powerful elephant of offenses may not enter. Practical means
Chaitanya Tatamrita, isn't it? Teachings to Rupa Goswami.
Yeah. The practical means by which a sadhaka can protect his devotion is by avoiding bad association and staying always in the company of pure devotees, especially advanced devotees. They say a practitioner
That way, a practitioner.
That way a practitioner can freely taste the nectar of bhava or of bhav, as the case may be. Aside from
sorry to keep you interrupting, but another shelter, if one feels oneself to be going through the effects of aparad, then take shelter of the holy name. One can increase one's chanting. Or you can increase one's crying for mercy. That's also one can do that to increase one's chanting.
But then if they're committing offenses, then they probably don't even want to chant.
That's an extreme case where one has become antipathy, or one has become what's the word? One has become antithetical. One is that's an extreme case where one may not even do that. One may not want to do that. But again, the other situation I mentioned, some where one may have made an offense, but just by circumstances, but the devotee is very sincere and they're feeling the effect of it. So then we just take to more chanting, But but the other specific case you're speaking of, that's where one will probably eventually leave the association of devotees,
Aside from that, a Vaishnava must remain alert against weeds that take root within the best fenced off garden. Weeds that can choke off the actual creeper of devotion and cause offensive conduct. The most obvious weeds are those that promote material enjoyment, liberation, unacceptable behavior, diplomatic behavior, desires for worship, and recognition as a great devotee.
Recognition as a great devotee, So these things are often subtle, That's the thing about these. It may be subtle. These weeds may be very subtle, may go unnoticed. You know? Especially if one doesn't have a good sadhana, if one is not regularly hearing Bhagavatam, then there's a chances that these weeds will get a good chance to grow. That's why it's very important that we have a good program of sadhana, because that will sharpen intelligence, because we're being touched with purity. Because Prabhupada's purpose is the mindset of the pure. Prabhupada is a pure soul, and he's a pure heart. So he's writing what is actually a pure mindset, what is actually a devotee. So as you read more about, if we're really reading, studying Prabhupada's books, then we can recognize the impurity within our hearts. And once you recognize it, we can start to deal with it. We can start to try and uproot it. We can start to go around it. We can start to act not according to it. But it's when we lose touch with Shravanam Kirtanam, then we may not be able to identify it. Yeah, we may just feel ourselves being completely justified in wanting to, no, I won't say that. We may let me think of a lesser one. We may feel completely justified in wanting to destroy the reputation of another Vaishnava. Yeah, we may be completely justified. We may feel it's completely justified. Yeah. So, yes, Hare Krishna. I hope this session's not scaring us all. But it's good. It's good to hear about this Vaishnava Parat. Yeah.
Yeah, you come up with you see different things in different devotees. I mean, obviously we have the same things.
Probably see different things in ourselves.
Yeah,
well.
that's what I mean. You can then see that reflecting to you,
Yeah. And guess looking from an objective point of view from our society in general, there's been many devotees who have been through this type of thing and come under the sway of, for instance, here, unacceptable behavior for a Vaishnava. Yeah, becoming diplomatic. Yeah, one has one's own hidden motives and speaks in such a way to a certain devotee to get that devotee to have disrespect for that devotee, and to mention this to devotee and not mention that to another devotee, to create the impression here, to speak about a Vaishnava in such a way to a senior Vaishnava, which may not be the actual facts or the truth, to undermine, there's a diplomatic behavior, desires for worship. Yeah, sometimes, there's one.
I was thinking
Recognition as a great devotee. Yes. Go on. Sorry.
I was thinking when one is suffering a lot in one's life, and yet they don't realize, like, I should be really kind, gentle, develop their Vaishnava qualities, they still go on the same thread. So why is Krishna revealing to them?
Yeah. But at some point, if they're sincere, or at least if they have been sincere, that at some point there may well be a epiphany, a reflection, and a sudden turnaround and realization. Yeah, sometimes that happens where devotee becomes repentant and reflective of how they've treated Vaishnavas in the past. So don't forget, Krishna's there. Krishna's very kind to his devotee, and Krishna's kind. So he's gonna prompt, and he's gonna arrange situations where perhaps you're forced to reflect on things. And that's Krishna's kindness. And it may come from an unexpected place, that all of a sudden one becomes inspired and one changes one's behavior. I call it the what's the prostitute Pingala moment, in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Pingala in the 11th canto, he has a sudden transformation where she realizes what she's doing in waiting for customers. And within 1 second, by the grace of the super soul, she becomes completely disgusted with her way of life and completely detached, completely lets go of it. There's a complete change around. So that also, that Krishna will help devotees in that way. You know, Krishna's very kind, and he's a master of all mystics as well. So he's very, if he wants a devotee to get a message which they need to get, he will make sure they get it. You know, he will make sure they hear it and like give them an opportunity. Yeah. So Krishna's very kind. All right, did we finish that section? Let's just finish.
Finish one paragraph and then.
Yeah, we'll stop at the 4 ashtakas. Yeah.
As water nourishes weeds and healthy creepers alike, Nam Sankirtana nourishes the weeds of bad habits growing alongside the creeper of devotion. If, with the help of advanced association, the weeds are not pulled out at the root, they can cause havoc in a sadhaka's attempts at perfection. But when such weeds are uprooted, then the devotional creeper quickly bears the fruits of prema in the shade of Krishna's lotus feet. At that stage of devotion, the bhakta is no longer
Susceptible.
to offences or deviant behaviour. That is the perfection of life.
Okay. Carry on. That's it. Okay, thank you everyone. Interesting reading today. I was good, reflecting a little bit about Vaishnava Parad, Hare Krishna, very important. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in. So tomorrow we have a Bhagavad Gita. You're welcome to join. But that isn't it. Tomorrow's it's okay, it's all clear. So far, hopefully the internet is working. I think we had trouble last week.
Yeah.
Krishna. Okay, thank you for joining us. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Hare, yeah, Bantaka, Batrubhascha,
Sindhu
Kripa,
Namo Namaha.
Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.